Hey everybody, how's it going? I'm Isaac, and today we're talking about the Smartwatch, and I hope you enjoyed the intro I put together for you guys, just because this has kind of been getting at me for a while. I've been dealing with this myself, and maybe you guys have too. And the thing I've been dealing with is whether it's worth putting away your old faithful watch, or even getting a watch for the first time in possibly a long time to get the newest type of watch, a smartwatch. So we're going to talk about the pros and cons to a smartwatch and see whether it's worth it today. So without any further ado, let's begin. Alright, so you have to kind of know a brief history of watches before you can really understand and possibly even appreciate the position the smartwatch is in now. I guess we kind of have to start with the pocket watch. Now, obviously, clocks were a thing, like grandfather clocks and such like that, and before that, like sundials or whatnot. But clocks were already a thing, and then along came the pocket watch. Now, the pocket watch was nothing special. In fact, the first pocket watches, you kind of put them in your pocket, and you took them out, they didn't do anything. In fact, some people just wear them hanging out, I guess, from their pocket, and they didn't have a purpose. They just didn't work. Then eventually they got the technology sorted out to make them work, and then pocket watches were a thing. Then along came the analog watch. And the analog watch is probably the first thing you may think of now, at least for now, when someone says watch. So let me take you guys over to a part of my wall so that we could show you some magazine cutouts of watches I have. So here I have some watches, and these are all watches you can buy today. That's a cobweb, that's disgusting. So yeah, here's Rolex and Rolex. These are very popular watches, and they're still house names, I guess. After that came the digital watch, and people were skeptical. Was it as reliable and accurate as an analog watch? Was it just cheap watches made to give you or get your money from you? The same questions were being asked then that were being asked now. Is it worth the upgrade? And eventually it was a yes for some people. For some it wasn't, and that's okay. But then again, the evolution wasn't as big. You were getting a ton of new features, and it was much easier to... Oh man, now I have a cobweb on my... Okay. It was much easier to read, and you had more features such as alarms and stopwatches, and even a lot of these watches, if not all of them, well, most of them, have at least some form of water resistance. I mean, this watch can supposedly go 330 feet, so... I guess what I'm trying to say is people question these things. If you're going to put something on your wrist and spend a lot of money into it, you want it to be good. You want it to be high quality. And that's where smartwatches come into play. That's where the question is asked, is it worth it? Because is it worth replacing your old timepiece for something that's still kind of relatively new and possibly undeveloped? And so I'm not the first one here in terms of a video. Smartwatches have been out for ages. A lot of the top producers when it comes to the tech community have already done something on the smartwatch. But mine is a broad overview. Is the market ready for you, or are you ready for the market? I don't know what the term would be. Just for the sakes of argument, I'm gonna go in negative first against the smartwatch, then I'll try to top what I said with positives, and we'll see if it's worth it from there. Battery. So you're not going to get the best battery life out of this thing in the first place because you can't replace the battery. A lot of watches like the Apple Watch and such like that require you to charge it, especially if you use it heavily, you might have to charge it daily. And yes, you're getting tons of features, but that still is another thing you have to plug in. Not to mention these batteries don't last forever, and that is the same with watches like this or some other analog watch. Or digital watch. The batteries don't last forever, but they're replaceable. When it comes to a watch like, say, a Rolex, got the brand new Rolex, or something like that, you can just get a watch manufacturer, not so much manufacturer, but repairman or repairwoman, I guess, to take off the back or take out the battery and just put a new one in. Not a big deal. Another thing with that is it keeps you on your phone. So for someone that may want to get away from their phone, or when their phone's not with them, they don't really need to be bothered by it, you're constantly going to be bothered by it. Because to be honest with you, if you're wearing a smartwatch and it's connected to your phone, you are essentially always connected to your phone every time you look down at your left or right arm. For me, it's the left because like that's where you're supposed to put it. So you can like it's with the old analog watches or even the new ones. You can just adjust it. That's what you're supposed to do, but it doesn't matter to me very much. You're also kind of losing out on the uniqueness of your watch too. Watches are supposed to mean something to people. They're supposed to kind of have something going for it that another watch may not. For example, a watch like this does basic things and it's very small and lightweight. But someone may get an analog diver's watch and those things are heavy, a lot of them, and they can get pretty expensive, but they're loaded with features that a lot of other analog watches may not have, and they can also have massive batteries too, and I guess you could use them diving since they're super waterproof or water resistant. But with the smartwatch, it's kind of you get what you get, and that's the same with other watches too. But with a smartwatch, a lot of like smartwatches are very, very similar. People want to compete in the market and give like almost everything that they can in the smartwatch. So you get a smartwatch like the Moto 360 II versus the LG Watch Sport, and a lot of their features are very similar. You're not getting too much differentiating in the market to really find your exact watch that you want. And the same goes with the Apple Watch series 1, 2, and 3. They're not too different from each other. And to top it all off, those watches can get pretty expensive. So, and yes, of course, analog watches and digital watches can be expensive too. What I'm saying is there are a lot of cheaper alternatives to those watches that are much cheaper and still give you the time. So we've cracked down pretty hard on smartwatches, and I just gave like a lot of reasons why you shouldn't buy one, but now I'm going to give you some reasons why you should. The first is just the stuff you can do on it out of the box. Without any apps, you can respond to texts, emails, obviously check the time. What else is a watch for? Well, other things now. You can make phone calls on your watch. You can, I think there's probably in the near future going to be watches that you can just Skype or Google Duo or FaceTime on. I mean, it's kind of crazy to think you could do all these things on a watch. You could pay for things, you could do ridiculous things on a watch that you may not have been able to do, or definitely wasn't able to do back then. Another thing with the smartwatch world, I guess, is the app support you get is immense. There are tons of applications that you can get on a watch. It's like a mini smartphone. And you can get all these different apps that allow you to do tons of different things if you can't already do them, such as GPS or music, like Spotify or something like that. You can play games. You could do tons of different things with those apps. Say 20 years ago, you wouldn't have thought you could do this on a watch. You also do things such as heart rate monitors in a lot of them, or even its own LTE connectivity, things that really like give your watch a ton of different new uses. You get tons of customization options when it comes to software, and of course on some models you get replaceable bands and different shells as well. A lot of people will look at a smartwatch and say mine does the same thing, it tells the time. Not so much.
Oh yeah? But can you do this?
And yes, watches have their own different unique uses, but the smartwatch can do almost everything. So those are some pros and some cons to the smartwatch, and it really is up to you whether you should upgrade or not. I just gave a ton of reasons why you should or shouldn't. Personally, you're gonna have to make a decision at one point or another. You may not have to decide, oh, I want to get one now. It may not be that hard of a decision, or you may decide, I do want to get one now. But in the coming years, the decision is going to get tougher and tougher. But something like the smartwatch now, compared to this, it's a massive upgrade. So that's really all I have to say about it. There's a lot more that can possibly be said, but for the sake of time, I'm going to cut that out. Thank you guys so much for watching. Tell me down below whether you're going to upgrade or whether you're not going to. Maybe you're going to be like me, hold on to your digital watch for a little bit, and this isn't even a smartwatch, so it doesn't count. If you want to check out a video with that, I'll link it. It's the first video I made like 4 months ago, so it's old. Also, comment down below what you thought of this video and what I can possibly improve. I hope to see you later on my channel, and thank you for watching.